Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of my Roblox Studio Beginner Series. This is a very beginner-friendly series, so if you've got no experience and no knowledge in any programming or any game development, then you're in the right place. So go ahead and open up Roblox Studio. You should open up a screen that looks something like this, and you can pick any template that you want. You could pick the racing, you could pick the modern city, take whatever you want. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to go with the base plate. So once you open it up, it should look something like this. You might not have these two windows on the right, but we'll take care of that. First thing we're going to want to do is look at the top window right here. You're going to see these 6 tabs right here: Home, Model, Avatar, Test, View, and Plugins. Right now, we're just going to go to the View tab and make sure these two buttons, the Explorer and the Properties, are both opened. They should show up on the right somewhere. If not, you can move them to wherever you want just by dragging and dropping wherever. But I like to keep them right here on the right. You can always resize them if you want. So the first thing we're going to go over is the Explorer. The Explorer is the tab that shows you every single thing that is in your game. We're going to go over the most basic things that you're going to need to know to start out. First thing we have is the workspace right at the top. If you open up this little arrow right here, it'll show you everything in the workspace. The workspace is essentially just the world. It's everything that the player can see and access. The spawn point is in the world. The base plate, or basically the map, is in the world. Anything that's in the world. Next, we're going to look at lighting. Lighting just controls all the lighting in your game. There's the atmosphere, sky, there's a lot of things you can add and change. You can delete them if you don't like them. They'll change a lot, but I like to keep them. Next, we have the MaterialService. So this, we'll actually come back to it later. Next, we have the server script service. So what a file of code in Roblox Studio is called a script. What you can do is just put any code inside of server script service and it'll work just as it should. Next is the server storage, which if you made, let's say I made a really nice house, but I want to add some stuff to it later and I don't want to just throw it into my game and I want to save it for a future update. I could just put it right here in the server storage where it'll hide itself and no player will be able to access it. And then once I want to update my game, I can drag it out of the server storage and put it right into the rest of my game. Final thing we'll go over here is the starter pack. Starter pack is really just your inventory. If you've ever played a game and you just spawned in and it was a fighting game and you had the gun, you had the sword, that's just your inventory. So that's really all the stuff you need to know about the Explorer for now. Next, we're going to go over very basic properties. So I'm going to want you to go to the Home tab right here. You're going to see this button, it says Part. Click on it, and it'll spawn a new part right in your game. You can zoom up to the part, and once you click on that part, you'll see it selected right here in the workspace because we added it to the world, so it got added to the workspace. And properties is basically just all the settings of the part. First up right here, we have the color. They give you a bunch of hex colors, pick whatever you want. We'll just take lime green. You can also take a color slider if you want, change the color here. And then we have material. So material just changes the material of the part. You could change it to mud and it would change the texture of it. Just change the color to brown. You can see it looks a lot more like mud now. There's a lot of materials for you to use here. We have material variant, and this is where MaterialService comes in. So what we're going to do right here for MaterialService is on the top window here is a toolbox. You're going to want to open that up, and then you'll see the toolbox is just what other people create. They upload it to the toolbox, and you can use it in your games. However, I wouldn't make my whole game out of the toolbox, because just because it's in the toolbox doesn't mean it works with every single other thing in Roblox. So we can search up material here. It'll just give us a bunch of materials. I'll just take this caution tape one. If you click on it, it's going to add it to MaterialService. You can go ahead, close the toolbox. And now, this part, I really want it to look like that caution tape. So what I'll do is press the part, material variant. If I click it, press that drop down, caution tape was added. And once I click it, it'll change the material of the part, and you can still change the color too. So that's just MaterialService for you. Next, we have reflectance. For reflectance, you're going to have to usually change the material, keep it at none. And the reflectance is just really how shiny the part is. Transparency is very self-explanatory. That's just how see-through the part is. A scale of 0 to 1. Next, we have can collide and can touch. I will actually show you what these do right now. So can collide, I'll just play the game. Alright, so I spawned in. As you can see, I'm running into the part. The part is hitting. I can hit the part and I can't walk through it. But if I changed can collide and I turned it off, I can start walking through it. And we've also got can touch. Can touch is just if can touch is on, that means players can touch this part, but that really just has to do with more on the coding side, which we won't be getting into this video. Right here we have the anchored part. This value is just, if it's on, that means the part will not move at all. It'll stay in this position no matter what happens. If we turned it off, and I turned off can collide, the part's not there anymore because it couldn't touch the base plate anymore, and anchored was off. So it fell all the way through the base plate to the void. So that's pretty much all the basic properties for you guys. Now we're going to go on to this tab right up here. We've got these 4 tools: select, move, scale, and rotate. Select, pretty self-explanatory. Just select which part you want to edit. With select, you can also drag, move around the part. And now let's switch to move. Move, it spawns all these arrows for you. You can move the part up, side to side. And scale will spawn these 6 dots, which help you change the size of the object. Rotate will help you turn the object. And these are tools you're going to find yourself using all the time when you're making games. Let's up here. Let's switch to the model tab, the second tab. And you might be thinking, okay, well, what if I want my object to be on a slight turn? I don't want it to be just jump 45 degrees each time. That's what we call increments. So I'm just going to revert. I'm going to press Command Z. I'm on a Mac. If you're on Windows, it'd be Control Z to undo everything I just did to that part. Now, we have increments here. If you look closely, we have all these little squares here. Each of these squares is 1 stud wide. A stud is just a unit of measurement in Roblox. If we look up here, we have snapping. These are the increments. So we have the move snap, the move increment is set to 1 stud. So every time I move it, it's going to move 1 stud in that direction. Okay, what if I wanted to move half a stud? I would change that to 0.5, and now it would move half a stud each time I move it. And same thing goes for rotate. If I want to use the rotate tool, instead of jumping 45 degrees each time, I could change it to 15. And it would turn a lot less. I could have a more subtle angle. And this final transform, I've never really found myself using it. I'm pretty sure it does something kind of special, but I'm not really sure what it does. I've never used it. But I've never found really a use for it. Okay, we've got just a few more things to go over. Final thing, sorry, not final thing, second final thing, terrain editor. Terrain editor, you've probably joined a game and you've seen a bunch of hills and a bunch of trees. If we go to edit over here, we have all these options over here. We're going to start off with draw. It'll give us this brush. You can change it to a cube. You can change it to a cylinder. I'm going to keep it a circle. And the brush size edits how big you want your brush to be. Just going to keep it pretty low. And we've got all the materials, the terrain materials that Roblox gives you. If you just click and drag, it'll just create a piece of terrain for you. I can keep dragging, drawing whatever I want. And I could change the material. I can do anything. There's a lot into this, and I would suggest that you do some exploring on this yourself. Okay. Final thing I'm going to want to go over with you guys is the rig builder. On the top tab here, go to avatar. You'll see everything here. Right here is the rig builder. Click on that and it'll give you this little window. You could pick R15 or R6. The difference between these two is R15 has 15 body parts to it and R6 has 6 body parts. I'll actually just show you the differences right now. I'm going to create 2. That's not the right one. I'm going to create the block avatar of both R6 and R15. And I'll drag them to be right beside each other. Okay, what is going on? Okay. If you look closely, if we open up these two characters. You can see, look, the one on the left, which is the R15 character, has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. He has a lot more joints, so his animation would look more like the animation the one with the running. And R6 has only 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it would have that more basic walking animation that that you've probably seen before. And why this tool is important is because if I want to build a really, really big mansion, and I'm just going to make it pretty basic. I want to make it like really big. And if I didn't have these guys here, they were just off to the side, I could end up making the mansion very, very big. Too big even for someone to even walk in it, because it's just not an enjoyable experience to walk in. So what this is useful for is comparing the size of a character to your builds, because you can make it the right size, so you won't have to resize everything, and that's really just a big pain and hassle. So I'll just delete these, and I'll just show you a few keyboard shortcuts that I found are very useful to help me build faster. So I'll just put in this part right here, a regular part, and if I scale this to how I like it, and then I change the color to bright green, and then I rotate it, and I don't want to keep going through that same process every time of resizing it to the exact same size, I'll click on this and I'll press Control or Command D, and you see it creates a new part in the workspace, and it's the exact same part. And instead of every single time you want to rotate the part 90 degrees, moving it a little bit, rotating, doing all of that, you can drag it, Control or Command R, and it'll rotate the part 90 degrees instantly. So yeah, that has been all the basics of Roblox Studio. I really suggest that you take everything I've said in this video and play around with it. Get used to this platform, because there's a lot more to it that I haven't covered in this video. It's going to be here for future videos. I really hope you learned something from this video, even if it was just one small thing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.